Grandpa's zipping up his jacket.
Yeah. He got the window open for me, so it's gonna get too cool in a
You
minute.
gonna you gonna be chest sweats and head cold.
No, I got another thing that I'm comfortable.
Were y'all about to go somewhere?
They just came back.
Oh, where'd y'all go, Grandpa?
Walmart.
Oh, of course.
I got another TV for downstairs, and Hank was hooking it up for me.
You got another TV?
The one downstairs I couldn't hardly. It wasn't a smart TV,
It wasn't smart enough. Okay.
and it wasn't getting nothing no more.
Oh,
Something I forgot.
Grandpa said he's like I went to Egypt. I need to upgrade. New was it
Yeah, he
New
came
Year, New
back.
Me?
See, I want that smart TV because I can put down them and things to get in shape on. I can go down there and have a workout. The guy say lift your arm up, I'm like, bring them back down.
Oh,
That's good.
so I was the show is live now. Let's beer in. What you guys got?
We're sharing a Foster's today.
Oh dang, you must be tired, Uncle Pooh.
Oh man, I totally just ill prepared. Didn't make it out to the stove, trying to catch up after working. But yeah, we're gonna
Well, give it the old what you call valuation there.
yeah, okay.
And then pour me some.
Yeah, lager, fat can. This used to be one of my favorite beers, actually. Back in
It
the
did.
day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, this was one of my. If we did something celebratory, I'd go there and say, nah, we're going to get the good stuff.
Yeah.
Don't get me a Foster. That just shows how misled I was.
So how smart you was at the time. You wasn't lost some of that value, that smart value.
Well, I'm expecting a 4.
Four.
Yeah,
Man, ain't no point in the vocabulary for Boston.
yeah. You just let it settle for a minute.
Hey, what happened to my beer?
It's coming.
It's coming.
We poured it head heavy. You can see looking like fresh urine.
Yeah. Yes.
The
Okay.
Pops is excited.
Let me see. What
All
I got?
right. What you think it's gonna be? What's your rating?
Oh, I'm giving it a 6 to start.
Oh, yeah.
Always give it a 6.
Yeah.
Foster's? Nothing less than a 6.
What you got over there, Red Monger?
Hey man, this is not a repeat episode for people tuning in. Grandpa just likes the same beer at this point. Unless it's specifically given to him, he ain't trying nothing different. But I skipped down to the market the other day, to pick up more ribs for people who are ordering. And I happened to see, I was like yesterday was like we had tacos. I had tacos for lunch, and I thought we were gonna do the show. So I was like tacos and sake. So I got some sake.
Okay.
It's called Living
That's an
Jewel.
interesting choice for coffee. I mean for tacos.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I just like to mix it up. It's gotta be different. It smells
Sake
good.
and tacos is definitely different. I'll give you that.
It smells good. It smells a little bit like flowers. I don't know how it's gonna taste, but cheers, y'all. I'll give it a pre-rating of 5 just to be fair for average.
Definitely a 6, right?
Just like I suspected.
I'll go up to 6. I'll go up to 6, maybe 6.5. This isn't bad.
I'm gonna go down to 3.5. I don't like lagers though at all. Like I'm not a lager fan.
You ain't got to be a lager fan, but don't tell no lies on it.
Dan say I'm lying. All right.
2.5.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably 3.3, but I'll go with 3.5. Yeah, I don't have to ever have it again.
Oh, I don't know, man. For me, a 6. Yeah, 6 fits right in nicely.
All right.
I mean, you're a typical beer drinker. This is what you expected.
It's still funny to me. Grandpa's drinking out of a dumbbell, but
yeah, I like the dumbbell. You got to work it out.
And work out.
It forces you to have a full container all the time, or else you're cheating yourself out of a good workout.
You don't get your weights. You gotta have the liquid in there.
When I don't think you got your pictures with you, but I remember we were supposed to do part 2 of your trip. You guys were supposed to go over more of the cool stuff you guys saw and experienced today.
Oh, right, because I'm not on my computer.
What was that?
We're supposed to talk more about the trip.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I'll leave that up to you.
Well, Grandpa, you were there. Grandpa, what was the most memorable thing you experienced when you went to Egypt?
There you go. The most memorable thing I experienced.
Yeah.
At Aswan. Before we got ready to go into it, that was Tutankhamun's temple.
Pharaoh Ramses the second.
Oh, Ramses. Okay.
You said Grand Pharaoh?
And just Pharaoh Ramses.
Oh, I didn't know if there was a distinction.
Well, yeah, all the pharaohs got names, right? So, but Ramses the second was like, he ruled for like 67 years. So his rule and his influence was really, really big. But it was like, I remember when we were in the Valley of the Kings, we went all the way into like Pharaoh Ramses the seventh. Like he had a long lineage with the particular name. But that's Abu Simbel that he's talking about with the 4 Ramses sitting in front of the mountain. But go ahead, tell them about. I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. Prior to going into the side of the temple, on the temple walls on the outside there, you said the most memorable. I saw some Inkster people.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't believe it, man. I ain't never seen somebody where you like him, you know. Usually when somebody has done something to a wall, carved it out or something, people look the same. But these people were identifiable. And I have never seen that, but that was the most memorable, and I'll never forget it. Because I swore I knew what that guy on that wall. That's how good the was.
Artwork?
The artwork. It was just that good that almost like it was a people. It was like a person.
So what he's referring to is when you walk into the temple. So you walk in basically at the feet of Ramses. It's, again, it's at Abu Simbel, right? So which is in southern Egypt, about 3 hours from Aswan, and that area is known as Nubian land, right? That's where the Nubians, like the real darker skinned Egyptians, came from, right? So if you remember history, right, the Nubians came from the south to give Egypt its that was basically the last stand, right? It was like picking Egypt back up off of the ground, so to speak. But going into that temple on the right side, they had, I guess you would say, honor to the more lighter skin.
It was south and north wall.
Yeah, like the northern Egyptians, right? Basically, this is like the Arabs that been mixing in and all that. Not the Arabs, but the Greeks. But on the southern wall was dedicated to the Nubians, right? So it was like a real color difference that you could just see in the hieroglyphics. So it was really interesting. So Pops clearly has an affinity for, that moment. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in Aswan, in Nubia in general, like, man, it looked like us. It just looked like us walking around. So I think that's what he's really fascinated with.
Well,
so more to other than they have their own Nubian language, if you knew the language, you'd have fit right in.
So speak more to that. So you guys said there was like a north and south. Like, at what point did that come to be that it was divided? Because I can only assume that wasn't. Not assume. I know that wasn't a thing for the entirety of the Egypt's empire. Like that was like near the tail end when that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that was near the tail end, and that's when that area was like built.
That was like 3,500 years. It was 2000. Yeah, it was. Let's see, it was 2,500 years ago plus 1,500 years BC plus 2,000 years AD. That's 3,500 years, right?
Yeah, but you're dating back to the beginning of like the dynasty. I don't know exactly when in that period, all of that. Like that's my number, my timeline is still a bit shaky.
Well, I thought the timeline.
Don't you got the book from Apple Symbol?
Yeah.
Then all that is in there. Like we don't even got to guess.
It is. Yeah, there's your name right there.
Now this is the Nile. This is the map of the Nile. There's a book.
So they say about 31 BC was the unification. So that's when the unified became an empire. But I guess it was starting out before then.
Yeah.
So it's at least 5,000 years old.
You got a book about Apple Symbol. What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's about 5,000 years old at the, I guess, youngest.
Yeah.
So what? The Sphinx is what? How many thousands of years old is the Sphinx?
I think it's like 4,000.
So and that's supposed to be the youngest of all the wonders, right? They're the buildings in Egypt. So
yeah, I think that was newer.
Yeah, so that's 4,000. That's funny to say something 4,000 years old is newer, but it's newer. So the pyramids were built way before that. So yeah, man,
we're still trying to figure out exactly how old the pyramids are. Yeah, like I said, the thing that was really interesting was like the guys was like big on letting you know, like, hey man, every year we're just learning more and more, right? They're literally trying to put the puzzle together. They don't got the years on here. But look, if you look up Pharaoh Ramses II, that's when Apple Symbol was constructed. And it's ABU space SIMBLE. It's Apple Symbol.
Grandpa over here looking through his histories. That bookshelf in there forever. The bookshelf looks small, but he's got like over 1,000 books on that bookshelf, it seems.
Yeah, that bookshelf is packed with information. I don't know what you did with the book. I wish I had mine.
It's got to be up here. Everything I had is up here.
Oh, while the Pooh Bear is looking for it, Grandpa, what was something else that you remember that you were like, man, that's interesting?
Yeah, he's.
What else? What's memorable?
Yeah, that's something else that you thought was interesting.
Excuse me. Sailing down the Nile River. Yeah, it kind of touched me there, That was memorable.
Well, speak on it. What was so great? What was so great about it?
It was just plain the beauty of it, and the way the Nile and the way the kids would come out there on those what are the things they be on?
Oh, you're talking about the boats?
Yeah, the kids. When the kids come up with the boat singing and
paddle boards or whatever.
And paddle boards.
Yeah.
So I mean, they on the Nile, but they act like they was in the swimming pool. No fear, man. They out there doing all that stuff.
Yeah, so he's talking about while we were cruising. Well, actually, while we were crossing on like the smaller boats, like kids would come up on like a surfboard, but they might be sitting, so they like hand coming across, and then they would latch onto the side of the boat and start serenading the boat, all working for tips, right? So it's like, man, it's like everybody got a hustle, man. Everybody out there got a hustle to make some money in the tourism game, because that's Egypt's number one industry is tourism. So like without people, like that's why the pandemic was so detrimental to them, because without people showing up, they're really, really struggling.
That's interesting. So I thought the Nile, like, doesn't it have like predators in the water? Like, how are they on there so safe?
They dammed them off. So they put the dam up. And it's like there's portions that you ain't doing that, right? Yeah. So when you're on the other sides of the particular dams that they put up, then it's safe. So I'm not, I'm sure they redirected water or whatever the ultimate reasoning is, but it opened up for more tourism opportunities because people want to see the Nile and cruising. I didn't even know you could cruise down the Nile, right? Like I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, the scenery.
But there's a lot of cruise boats on the Nile, ain't there? I didn't know there could be that many.
How wide is the Nile?
It ain't like, I would say about the distance from Detroit to Canada.
Really?
Yeah, about that wide.
Yeah.
That's quite wide.
Yeah.
That's very large.
Yeah, might not even be that wide, actually, though, really, if you think. I'm sure in portions is, bigger than some.
Yeah, wide and narrow.
But yeah, but it's not like, it ain't like an open sea, you know what I mean, where it's like humongous. But you're right, that is kind of big. So maybe like 3/4 of that. But it's pretty wide. It ain't like you just go look across. Like, nah, it's over there. Yeah, so that was really interesting though. But like the scenery that you see, because things along the Nile is really tropical, right? Like, because that really fed the region and the area. But then you could see, like, when you got off the Nile and went deeper into the city, because then, like, that's when you get to the desert area, and all of that. So, it's like really, really obvious. Yeah. But when you're going down the Nile, man, I mean, there's so many pockets of like. I didn't know Egypt is like a home. It's particularly southern Egypt is like a home for like bird watchers. Like they have a lot of exotic birds, and so yeah, that like blew me. That was like one of the last things that I caught. I tuned in and could pay attention again, but
I missed that one.
Yeah, so like yeah, they have a lot of those
exotic birds.
Yeah, but parks and forests that people come down, they spend days just bird watching because of all of the different species they had. So some of the books and the education they were selling out there was about the birds, but I didn't know about it at the time, and I was thinking, why this dude trying to sell me on birds? You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not into birds, so I was just reflecting it. But then after I learned about the area, it's just that's really available. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys talked about the Grand Pharaoh, the Nile. I remember last time you told us about how you guys were invited to like somebody's house, and Grandpa sat at the head of the table, and how they each had their own individual tables and things of that nature. Was that how you guys ate all the time?
No, that was just we went into the Nubian village, right? So we went into the neighborhoods and kind of met with a family, so you can kind of get an idea of the culture and the experience of living there. So that's what that was all about. The rest of the times we ate in restaurants,
Yeah, like what did the village and stuff look like comparatively to how we live?
In this particular area we went, it was more of a poorer area. Like you could see like the homes, right? Like it's like everywhere you go. Like there's areas that got where the money's at, and then it's more highly the technology. It's more modern and all of that. But like we went into. I don't know if it would be maybe lower class.
We went into the hood.
We went into the hood.
Dang, Grandma.
Yeah, but it was a pretty good experience, and to eat some of the food and like hibiscus and tea apparently is really big in Egypt in general, not just in where was we at? In Aswan. So that was that. But like the rest of the times we ate, we just go to the local cafes, local restaurants. One interesting meal, I didn't eat it though. It was on the menu was pigeon. I've never heard of people eating pigeon.
If you ever had church's chicken, you've had pigeon.
You'd have had some pigeon.
You'd have had some pigeon, or a squab, or whatever they like to call it on those fancy menus, because I know they don't call it pigeon. They do serve that here. They at fancy fancy French restaurants, but I think they call it squab or something.
I think Dad had some duck, but he didn't appreciate how it was prepared.
It was a little dry.
Yeah.
So how was the food? How was the local food?
Overall, it was great. Like all the food was good.
What did they make?
Huh?
What were they making? Like stews or stuff like that? What was it?
Well, soup is like a really big staple of Egypt, I guess. Mm-hmm. So like every day you would have a different type of soup, and like all of them were good. The only one I didn't eat was the pumpkin soup, but I think you ate that one.
Yeah, I think so, but it didn't taste like pumpkin, you know.
No, okay.
Or somebody else said something about it. Said, "Oh, this don't taste like pumpkin." It might have been Stephanie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't eat that one, but the rest of the soups were really good. They always had like a beef and broccoli type something. Mm-hmm. That was the thing. Of course, we had some falafel. That's a really big staple of Egypt. But the chef on the boat. He was making everything. Like you get everything. We had some pizza. We had we had something called goulash, but it wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Goulash was Russian.
Hungarian.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we thought it was going to be. But apparently they have their own goulash, which is some sort of cheese.
Really?
So that was different. Yeah.
Same word, different meanings.
Right. Yeah, a lot of fish, was on the menu. No pork. No pork in the country. Yeah.
You said I got a book.
Yeah, I bought 2 of them. I gave you one and I took one.
Maybe it's downstairs. Gotta be.
Yeah. We'll find it. It's white. It's white with blue letters.
White with blue letters?
Mm-hmm. It's about that big.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was, man, I wish I should have been on with the camera, so my computer, so I could show more of the pictures. But it was a great experience. I can't wait to go back, honestly. Yeah.
When you say you're going back?
We're going to go in February.
February?
Yeah. Because Chris was going to come to Ghana. So just like we had the Egypt, then Ghana trip back to back. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening in February. So since we were going taking her to Ghana, just might as well go to Egypt. Like, why not? Yeah. That's the one thing about having a travel company, man. You can just go on the trips.
Yeah, we've talked about that for possible March excursion.
Right. Yeah. Oh, he said March for Cuba.
Yeah. Well, gotta drink to that.
Yeah.
No, this is a long time coming.
Hey, the beer's not gone.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
I guess
long time coming.
I can't wait to see what happens with that, man. Like, I just can't wait to see Grandpa experience it. He's been talking about this for years. I think since we started this show. In my record,
he's been talking about Cuba for 40 years.
I'm talking about since he started. Since Grandpa started talking to me about it.
Oh, that is definitely
one reason that I might talk about Cuba that you wouldn't necessarily have that much I don't know what word I want to use.
Enthusiasm.
When Castro was doing this thing, I was a young man, and it kind of hurt to see what my people went through before Castro, And then when Castro come in and they want to make him the bad man, when he liberated the black people there in Cuba. That's why I always talk about Cuba. Castro was out their liberation, they liberated them.
Yeah.
And the man who stole all the money, did all the dirty work, he got away and went back to Spain.
Oh, Batista?
Yeah. Fulgencio Batista. He robbed the treasury and took a plane and got out of there.
And now they don't even mention him.
Don't even mention it, man. Right. And if he, I mean, they don't mention that he was a dictator, that he went and took over the government. I mean, by force. It was a coup. And he ran that coup for about 8 years, killing people left and right, but never mention of Batista. That's the disturbing part.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just want to go. I want to go see Grandpa do it. I know he wants to go. We'll say that for another show because let's finish up with this. So what? So Grandpa didn't say what he had, what he was like exciting. What would you say that the trip offered that you offered Uncle Pooh that was different than say anybody else?
Oh, that's easy. What makes ours different is it's all black people on the trip with you. You know, that's like a unique thing, especially when you're traveling internationally, because you get on those groups and you get in those things, and it's like you like the only black person there. It's either you or or you, Dad, and Sean and Hank, right? And like, what's important about that is we all have our own set of questions and curiosities and cultural norms that's obvious to us. And you don't have to answer. I'm just gonna say it. You don't have to answer the dumb white questions.
Yeah.
Right. And the ones they try. I guess they're trying to understand and learn about your culture and whatnot. But you ain't got to deal with that.
But too. What was one of the people that spoke? What was his name?
Prince.
Yeah. He let you know what kind of people, what the people look like at this particular period in time. He distinguished. He said these were black folks.
Yeah, and on our tour you're gonna get the black version.
Right.
I could imagine you go with Globus or some white organization. They gonna have heavy Greek conversations, heavy Greek focus.
What you were saying, like Grenada, and the guy was checking around. He never acknowledged that any. Did he ever say anything about those black people that were?
No.
That they were fighting.
When you say things, you got to give context because people don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Right.
You got to give context because nobody knows what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So he's talking about southern Spain. We were in Granada and we went to the Alhambra, which is one of the last Moorish stronghold there. In Granada, they were toppled in 1491, and after that, now you got white Christians basically in there. I won't say defacing, but basically, putting a spin on the temples and the castles and this and that. And the tour guides act like they're the ones that constructed and built the place. They're the only ones that's there. Like it's like everywhere we go, our history is erased. It's not that we don't have any history, we don't have any contribution. They just ignore that part of the story and say, oh yeah, everything that happened before that was the Dark Ages. We don't need to talk about none of that. Let's pick up right here when white people started to show up doing things that we deem are important.
Just like I was saying.
That's what you get on the tours.
I was saying there.
Well, Grandpa, what are you doing, man? This side profile shot, like he's doing monologuing. look at how he's turned. He got his clothes on.
I didn't understand why he turned to the side.
Who that?
You turn you facing that way. We talking this way.
That interesting.
Look at him. He had a jazz concert, man. He's been spoken word poetry right now. I'm sorry, Grandpa. What were you saying? We're talking about the history and how it was changed up, and you're about to say something. And then I told a joke and messed it up, apparently.
What was I about to say?
Hey, that's on me. I couldn't resist.
So we was talking about Granada. Yeah. We was talking about How basically whitewashed.
No, what I was saying, all those years I used to hear about the Spanish Inquisition, but I never knew they were talking about torturing black folks. When you say the Spanish Inquisition, you don't think in terms of the people who were getting killed because if they were Christians or not, you know. But the thing was, they conquered and killed people that didn't convert to Catholicism. Those that didn't too, they killed them, you know. But basically, what I'm trying to say, they were talking about black folks. That's what the Spanish Inquisition was all about: killing black people.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. So I guess we have
even as far as the Moors, the Berbers, the Jews. Even when they talk about the Jews, they were talking about the black Jews, the Sephardic Jews. You know, they were black Jews. You know, so everybody over in the Spanish Inquisition, they were killing with black folks.
What does Sephardic mean?
Huh?
What does Sephardic mean?
What does it mean? All I know is that that's the name of a group of people, Sephardic Jews that came up from around Ethiopia. I don't know what the word Sephardic means, Sephardic, but I really don't know what the word means.
What does Sephardic mean?
Jews had a name, and they called them the black Jews. They called them Sephardic Jews. What does it mean?
So it says here, Sephardic Jews, also known as Sephardic Jews or Saraphidim, and sometimes referred to by modern scholars as Hispanic Jews, are a Jewish diaspora population who coalesced in the Iberian Peninsula. The term Sephardim derived from Hebrew Sarf, which refers to the Masorai Jews from Western Asia and Northern Africa.
So anytime you talk about Jews in Spain, Sephardic, they're talking about, in the book too, it says they talk about black Jews, you know, Sephardic Jews, black Jews.
So it's hard to talk about history because somebody's been lying. And then when you start to bring up this conversation about Jews and who they are and this and that, the people that's been lying really start getting loud and get offended because they don't want to talk history because somebody adapted a identity of a people. And then that's why they get loud and shut people down that really start to talk out their rightful place in this lineage of God, quote unquote, God's chosen people.
I think it was interesting. Did you see that video of Jon Stewart on Colbert's show the other day? I thought it was very interesting the stance he took because it was very honest. I think it's how way a lot of people should think about having conversations. Honestly, they're uncomfortable because I'm like, if you get jumped on for having a thought and if you're offended by it, you don't take the time to explain or ask somebody why they think that, then you're never going to change the conversation. You're never going to change what the stereotype is or whatever the situation is because you're already shutting people down. I mean, ignorance, you cure ignorance by educating people. Now, some people are going to believe what they're going to believe, but there are people genuinely out there who just want to know what it is and what isn't.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling the truth, and so was Jon Stewart. But the people that know that they lying, know if we start having conversations and you start telling the truth and you start digging into the history, you start to find out that they lying. So in order to sustain the story, you got to shut people down. You got to just scream boogeyman. So you scream boogeyman, everybody scared of the boogeyman, think the boogeyman's bad, no conversation happens, and they move on, right? But like all of this is cured through history. That's why I think history is the most important subject on the planet. And I think John Henry Clarke's statement is the best. Never discuss a situation until you understand how it came to be. And once you understand how it came to be, then you ain't even having these conversations because you like, that's actually utter nonsense. But we don't really know our history. And I'm a little foggy, so I just tend to stay quiet. But I know enough to know somebody lying.
But I think to that point, we should be open to having these conversations. Like, as a matter of fact, if I like for stuff that we don't know, that's what I always try to have was our pundits on the show, somebody who knows more than us about it to talk about it. I would invite anybody to come on the show if we ever whatever topics we have, because I definitely want to know what I don't know. You know, it's not one of the such because I do like that sentiment. I do like the sentiment of not overreacting to someone saying something that may offend you if it's not from a bad spot, you know. If it's not, but even if it is, like if you can talk to them and y'all can find some common ground, like what was the name of that brother a long time ago who met with the Ku Klux Klan and just sat with them and talked to them? And no, it was another dude, like more recent times. It was a black. Okay. It was another black dude. He was just, I was like, they were having trouble in this community, and he was just like, let me just talk to these people. And eventually, I mean, they got like some uneasy truths, but like people weren't getting lynched. He was just like, hey man, we'll stay over here. Y'all do whatever it is over there. I gotta find that. It was from a while ago, like a while ago, and people were giving him crap because he was talking to people who they're like, why are you even talking to them? I'm like, well, you gotta do business, right? You gotta do business sometimes for the people that don't like you.
You know, this group shuts people down for asking questions. They scream boogeyman when you like, well, what does the history look like? You know what I mean? Like people are inboxing me because I posted the question today. How do you know who a Jew is and who determines it? Who's holding the key that say, nope, that's false. You're not, we are, they aren't. What that look like? So people are inboxing me and they're saying, man, you just trying to get canceled, huh? I'm trying to get canceled because I asked a question. That's gonna get you. I think like the absurdity of it all.
What was it? I think we talked about this before, but like what is it? They have a program where if you're an Israelite or a Jewish person, I'm not sure the actual term, the correct technical term is, but you can get like a free flight over to Israel and go to there and like experience all that. Like I think you have to go through whatever clearance house that is, because if like you
quote unquote are deemed
like you get you get to go over there and experience with like your heritage and all that. And
so a good question to ask even around that is who gave them the authority? Who authorized them to make that decision?
Well, I think you're asking a dangerous question here, because now people can ask like who's black?
No, okay. I mean, I feel like that's a fine question.
But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at it from. I'm looking at it from this angle because, you know, I always talk about reparations, and there's a clear-cut way of how to find out who gets reparations from being descendant of American slavery. There's ways to do it, and so I'm like, I can't discourage them for saying they have a way to do it. If we definitely have a way of doing it for reparations, they just haven't enacted it yet because the government doesn't want to give us our money. But it's I think that if we could find, I mean, I don't think it'd be hard to find out what their criteria is, honestly, because a lot of people are doing it all the time, going over there.
So I seen this white boy this Jewish guy on Instagram the other day. I should have shared this video. I thought he was interesting because he wasn't saying that Kyrie was wrong. I don't think he addressed Kanye. I think he was saying, well, Kyrie is coming from this particular place. And then he started speaking about the it's either Igbo or the Igbo people out of Nigeria who are Jewish, dark-skinned, African, Hebrew Israelites, right? Or whatever. He was calling them Jews. And he was saying how the Israeli government are really excited about welcoming this group of Jews home, specifically the Igbo people, and all of this, right? So then the next thing he said was, and then there's documentation that Africans in America, the African Americans, that slave trade was at least, he said a good portion of those people, he said large portion to be honest, but I'm trying to walk that back.
They're the majority.
But they were Igbo and they were shipped over here during slavery. So he's saying if that's true, then to act like you can't have the conversation that Kyrie is saying, maybe Kyrie is saying, I'm Igbo. Like if y'all already,
well, I mean, then it's just like
this. But Kyrie, now he never said nothing. Though.
No, he did. But this is the guy is speculating.
I'm just saying, though, they want to put something on.
No. Let's back up. This Jewish person was trying to have the conversation. Mm-hmm. He was trying to say that there's something to what Kyrie is saying. You shouldn't shut him down because on the books, Israel is openly saying the Igbo people of Nigeria are part of us. Okay. And if it's true that they ship them over here.
Well, let me say this. Ethiopia, 15,000, the Israeli government brought 15,000 Palestinian Jews into it long before the Igbos. They let 15,000 in because they proved that they were Jewish.
Yeah, Palestine.
Right, the Palestine, yeah. 15,000 of them. So evidently they know who is Jewish and who ain't.
So, and then where I felt like the guy was short-sighted and all of this is short-sighted isn't there supposed to be 12 of these tribes? So, like, but who's picking them? Like, how did they get to the point that it was like, all right, we're going to have to let the Igbo people in? Well, but what about the Yoruba? But then what about the Mende? And then what about?
I think what the situation is this. There's legal ways to prove whatever you want to prove, right? And just like I go back to the reparations argument, just like how people like doctors, like real financial people who are in the reparations movement are putting out documentation, like this is what you're supposed to be A, B, and C to be able to claim reparations, and they're giving it to Congress, right? This whole thing is happening. So I'd have to imagine and have to believe that if you were going to claim any status, that there is a way to do it. And I think if you went about it that way, then people can't argue it because that means they'd be arguing against their own system. And if they can't,
I get you, and I feel like you're correct, and this is sounding truthful and honest. But let's just imagine this whole reparations argument was co-opted by a group of Mexicans who weren't even there or weren't involved, but then now somehow they the head of the entire discussion, and they are really saying, yeah, no, they're coming out of Mexico. They were enslaved. That's who was X, Y, and Z. So then the question is, how the hell did you get to be at the forefront to be depicting who is going to get this reparations money?
I would say that is based on just if we're living in that world, based on entirely on what I know about right now about the systems in place to prove that you're just.
I don't get to see you.
Yeah.
Always good to see you.
Always, brother. Safe travel. Yeah. I'll be back out here this weekend. I've been researching the tickets and stuff. So
researching what?
Tickets, hotels, and
okay, good.
So good. I'll get back out here. I might even come out tomorrow. Hey, Josh.
Yes, sir.
If there's ribs here, I'll be here tomorrow. If they ain't, I ain't coming.
All right. Yeah, I told Uncle Pooh Bear if I get a half day tomorrow, I'm gonna slide over there. I might bring some ribs.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Or we go get some lamb chops.
Oh, hey.
We can do both. Hey, Pooh, we can do both.
There you go. Choose.
Hey, did you say ribs?
Look like you got a fan.
We got to do both, man. But like I was saying, yeah, man. So I think to say that is like no, if as long as we're talking about hypothetically in the world that we currently live in, there's systems in place to prove your lineage, and for the fact of reparations from America, it's all right. I'll put it the argument like this. So in Haiti, there's I forgot the name of their organization, but they have a reparation task force to try to get money from France because when France lost that war, they've been taxing Haiti for 200 years for lost property, and that lost property being slaves, so like real life human beings. So we as American Black people we don't get any of that money because we weren't in Haiti. We weren't enslaved in Haiti. Same as if they came over here. They weren't enslaved here, so they wouldn't get any of that money from America. There is a way to prove your lineage in such a way that we would be able to defend it. I'm not saying it's impossible that they couldn't slide in, because like just like there's $5 Indians, like there's people slid in that, but there's ways to protect ourselves, and as long as we remain vigilant, then I don't think it's like this. We'd have to do like everybody else is doing. Like y'all got to have the paperwork, and if you come for us outside of the way of the paperwork, we just gonna sue you, or we gonna talk about you like everybody else is doing. Like I get why you would want to punish people so they won't get your resources, and I understand that. So like I understand the thinking behind it, but I'm saying there's a way to do it in which that if you really believe you are a part of a certain group, that you should be able to, like you said, you should be able to have the conversation proving with backing up with facts. Like you just can't say anything. Anybody can't just say anything. That's ridiculous. But if you can back it up with facts and whatever else you got that they say the stipulations are, then I think it should be fair and legal for you to be able to take that route.
So part of this is definition and understanding. This is why you can't really make the comparison between reparations and then this discussion. And Dad's gonna love this, but according to is Israel, right? Your relationship with being, a Jew is built upon the lineage of your mother, and it's your mother's mother, blah blah blah, and it goes back. But the argument that people like the Hebrew Israelites, I'll say that, the people Hebrew Israelites make is they come from Shem.
Now you talk.
I said you go like this. And Shem
now you talk.
is where the term Semitic come from. It's actually Shemitic because it's descendants of Shem. But the people that are currently, and this is what I've heard as far as the understanding. I get foggy, I don't know, but I literally read somebody make this argument today that the people that are there now are Ashkenazi.
They came from Japhet.
They came from Japhet, and they co-opted the Shem lineage inheritance and the Semite interest. This is why I made the Mexico comment, because it's basically people that weren't involved that said they were, and now they're in control of it. And now whatever they say is dictated on the world. But that's why I asked the question, who makes the decision, and how the hell did you get in control of it all? Because like if the Igbo are Jewish, and if the Ethiopians are Jewish, and they have a longer history and heritage than any of these people that's quote unquote making the decisions, why ain't they involved in the process? Why don't they get a word in edgewise? Why do people lost in the diaspora who start to make the inquiry about their lineage and history, why do they just get shut down and shut out? But when white people say, I'm this, it's not even contested.
We all know what those reasons are. But I think the thing is, I remember someone saying this a while ago, that when you're behind enemy lines and you don't have any real power, you gotta play the game. And if the game is as such where I gotta have this, and this, and these I's dotted and the T's crossed, and I come to you like this, the only way you're gonna win is cheating, then you get exposed, right? Then people like it, as long as you're planning right. But like if I come out and just say, like I hate to use this as an example, but if your only frame of reference for saying that you're of a different group, right, is by using a religious text that people argue if it was real or not, that's not a good argument. Now, if you were going to come back and say, I have historical dates and I have this such and such lineage and I can prove it with these papers and these tests and things, that's something you can argue. But you can't argue a biblical matter in the court of law when people don't universally agree that it's true.
But how do you even argue when the people in control won't even have the discussion, let alone the legal defense and argument, and won't even put forth their record of claim in front of you? Like,
well, I think to this week, some steps were pushed forward to actually have these conversations, because Jon Stewart and Jerry Seinfeld, both Jewish comedians, came out and backed what Chappelle was saying and saying that we should be able to have these conversations if we're going to dispel some of these notions. We should be able to have open conversations like this. And I think when stuff like that happens, things start to matriculate and tumble forward because and I think it's one of those things where it's not what was said, it was who said it. And people, for whatever reason, Dave Chappelle can start these conversations and get stuff.
He can get away with anything.
And but you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying is he's done this for transgender people now, and now he's doing it for the Jewish community. And open conversations have been had in other realms because people weren't able to shut him down immediately. And other people are coming out and saying, let's have this conversation. And I think that when you can have an understanding and you can talk to people without it being like you automatically in trouble or canceled, as it were, then I think a good portion of the time you will be able to be in better footing. Now, like I said at the beginning of this, some people are just going to believe or say and do whatever they're going to want to do, right? But there are people who are genuinely out there who are trying to find what the truth is and are trying to just have understanding. And when those people get together, other people who are willing to explain and share their ideas, then we're going to be in a better spot. I sound like Grandpa right now. Incremental change.
Oh, my goodness. That's funny. Incremental change.
Yeah, but that's what I think. That's what I can see it. Like I'm starting to sound like Grandpa. I can see it matriculating. I can see this happening because we see more and more people having these conversations, and not just saying and it's not emotion based. Just like I believe these things because of this, this, and this, and I'm starting to see that more and more where people are saying this, this, and this, and giving out facts that they think, from what I understand it, and then people refuting it. And it's opposed to just saying you're crazy. People are like, you know what? I didn't think about it that way. And that's happening more and more often. It's not happening all the time, but it's happening more and more often.
Let me tell you who's not having that discussion. Who? The ADL. They not having that discussion. Those discussions are happening in barbershops, in comedy pits, and on the sidelines. But the people who making the shots, they not having those discussions.
They got no argument.
They not having.
I said they ain't got no argument. That's why come they ain't having it.
Well, they just at a certain point, at a certain point,
and everybody bends though. That's what's wild.
At a certain point, they got to be able, and just not just them, because I'm not going to point just them out, but any organization should never be beyond reproach. You should be able to talk to people about like why your stance is that way and defend you. If you can't defend your stance other than by punishment, it's not that good of a stance.
That's logic. But they do it. They've been doing it for decades, and it works, right?
That's why they've been doing it.
That's why they've been doing it. But Jon Stewart, like he said, they call me anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
and I'm Jewish, right? That was accepted. Now, when Kyrie said the exact same thing, it was scream bloody murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who verified that Jon Stewart is actually Jewish? I'm not saying that he's not. I have no idea. I actually don't even care. if I'm being totally honest, it has no bearing on my life whatsoever.
I guess it's one of those things where I don't want to go down that particular road because I mean, like, I'm not qualified.
I mean, we don't know. I don't know. When I asked the question, I was legit trying to.
I was just like, I don't want to get on the road of like saying who is and who isn't something, especially when I
ain't got no authority anyway. Like, you know.
Yeah, I'm just want to. This is a good conversation. You know what? I wish I knew more Jewish people just so I could like have them come on the show and like talk about this because this is.
I wonder which ones would come on the show.
I think there are people who would come on and talk about it. I just don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I hadn't heard a lot. But then it's like you said, Jon Stewart came out. Then I saw the guy on Instagram. And apparently there was a lot of them on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, with Seinfeld, yeah. But so, I thought Jon Stewart's take was intelligent. You know, it was insightful.
It was fair. It was a fair response.
Yeah, and it was humorous. You know what I mean? You always like humor. But it's like the comedians are the ones that get away with it. But, you know, I don't know.
I think anybody who's not supposed to be seen as a role model can get away with whatever.
But is a basketball player a damn role model? Like, come on.
Well,
it's dribble the ball and shoot.
Well, I'll tell you why they are. Well, no. I'll tell you why they're propped up to be role models. Because you can't sell the dream of getting more people to play your sport if you don't have people saying, well, you can point to saying, well, they got out, they worked hard. There's your role model. That's how you perpetuate the system of getting these little black kids out of the hood to play your sport as supposed to go into STEM and things like that. Sell them the dream that even no matter how little talent they may have, that you work hard enough, you can be an NBA player, NFL player because these people did it. Which that's a whole different conversation. But you have to perpetuate heroes in certain fields to make people want to do that field.
True.
But it's almost time for us to end the show. But let's give our final thoughts. Uncle, what's your final thought today?
We need to have more conversations like this.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the open dialogue is important, and we can't get anywhere. We'll never find a common ground if we can never have a conversation. And if anybody's stance is I can't ask no questions, I can't question nothing, I'm always gonna be against that. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Farrakhan and the NOI. I don't care if it's the Garvey organization. I don't care if it's my company. Like, nobody's beyond reproach. You ain't Jesus. I ain't bowing down and tilting my hat. I can't even learn nothing else. Like, I always stand against that. Whatever it is. I can agree with something. And if that's the organization stance, I'm changing because that's nonsense. Like, nobody knows everything. So you got to be open for conversation and learn.
All right. Well, Grandpa, what's your final thought?
My final thought was I was thinking about a friend of yours, Dr. Boris. What's his name?
Dr. Boyce Watkins.
Watkins.
Okay.
Yeah. I was listening to some of his programs on podcasts on YouTube, and he basically called out a few people, that said, "Yes, sir, master. I'll run and get them, master." My final thoughts is, he brought them to the forefront. Let them explain themselves why they did what they did.
Well, I'll leave that to them because I don't like talking about people who ain't here because that's not like I'll leave that to them. I don't like talking about people who ain't here. If they come up, if people come up, if certain people come on the show, they're more than welcome. But
Boyce ain't got no problem calling it like he see it.
Yeah, he called it like he did.
I appreciate it.
I ain't name who he was talking about, but he was just saying,
No, I get what you're saying. I just, and like I said, because people be real finicky about suing people, so I don't want to bring nobody up who ain't here because I ain't got no money. I do not got no money. Do not come looking for me for no money. I don't got no money at all. I spend it all on comic books. They right behind me. My final thought: this is a great show today. I feel like I learned a lot, and it makes me want to. I gotta start getting more guests regularly on here. We gotta set a day where we can just do it normally, and gotta get some more guests back because we gotta get these conversations rolling again. But next week is Thanksgiving. The show we can do it Wednesday. I guess we do Wednesday. Wednesday good or Thursday? We can do it Thursday.
I'm gonna be home.
Okay. Well, we'll figure it out.
That don't mean nothing to me.
I might do it. We could do it Thursday early in the day, just to chill, just so I can actually have my day.
I mean, we eat during the day, but I don't give a damn about the holiday and what it represents.
All right. Well, love you guys. See you next episode. This is what episode is this? 162 of the Untitled Beer Ranking Show. See you guys next week. Remember, I guess I'll sign off by saying, be willing to have honest conversations with people without prejudice. That's my ending word. See y'all.